Welcome to August Wilson Community Day. I'm Janice Burley Wilson, President and CEO of the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. Today we honor the legacy of August Wilson with performances by artists and creations by entrepreneurs that have a bigger belief in themselves. The architecture of this building inspires our artists today, and we hope that you enjoy the performances with your family and friends. To learn more about what we do at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center, please visit our website at aawcc-awc.org. Thanks go to UPMC and UPMC Health Plan for their generous support. And now, let's roll out August Wilson Community Day, the spring edition.
I started dancing from back home, West Africa, Republic of Guinea. And I have an opportunity in 1972 cross the US with my big dance company. We call them Les Ballets Africains, Le Ballet Joliba. So from Australia, Japan, so you're looking at a beautiful country with all these beautiful black people. I was like, okay, I think I should stay. But I can't stay because I was working. Then I have returned back Africa, stay there, but only thing I can do, thinking about US, thinking about Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, Florida. So that kind of a experience through my dance career, I was thanking to the Lord to make me part of this dance company. But then I have the vision inside me. I say, if I live longer, one day, I'm going to return. And that's, I share all the time with my dance company, the school, the dancers, because I teaching everywhere, all the city. When I return, 1985, arrived in New York, October 1st. So you're sitting there, you're thinking where to go, where to stay. None of you speak English. Because my dancers them now always say, Mama, what do you do when you come to the country? You don't have nowhere to stay. You don't speak English. That's a good point. I told them, this is so simple. You have a vision when you grown up, who you want to become. You want to be singer, or dancer, or basketball, or football, or your degree and be a doctor. You have to set your mind, being the little girl, your vision first, I believe. The balafon is the melody. I start dancing with the balafon and bote. That's why I tried the name of the balafon. Just I be able to sing. And I sing it, the wedding, the baby shower, whatever, everything. It was a balafon first.
As an organization, we are 10 years old. We're celebrating 10 years as an official nonprofit. We've turned Mama's passion for dance into an arts organization, and we're looking forward to the next 10 years. Balafon really started, Mama grew up on the stage, so it really started as a performance ensemble. We realized, though, that in order to really train the next generation to be able to present the art at the high level, we really needed to start with kids. So about 5 years ago, we started offering more school programs. We always have, but we really started to focus on working with youth in addition to training adult dancers and performers. A lot of our artists end up moving on to other parts of the country, so there are balafon dancers all over the world that we often perform with, especially all over the country. But we're really looking to develop a core and a really rich community here in Pittsburgh. People can find out where to find balafon online at www.balafon.org, so balafon.org. We're also on Facebook, we're on Instagram at Balafon Dance.
Mawiyatale kamara. Mawiyatale. Mawiyatale. Mawiyatale kamara. Sumasale. Ena mawiyatale kamara. Famade wira. Sumasale. Ena mawiyatale kamara. Famade wira. Sumasale. Ena mawiyatale kamara. Famade wira.
I started feeling real bad, and she was immediately like, "You're going to the hospital." And I didn't fuss, which I usually do. I had no idea that I was having a heart attack.
But on the way there, we had green lights.
Because she was going to run them anyway, because I had told her to run them. Staff, they treated me like I was the MVP. If I would have waited, it would have been too late.
They had did everything they needed to do to save her life.
And to me, that's love. I did not choose to have a heart attack, but I did choose UPMC.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is India Herndon, and I'm the Engagement and Inclusion Consultant for the UPMC Center for Engagement and Inclusion. It's a pleasure to join you today, and I'm truly looking forward to an amazing discussion with our featured guests, Blaze Jenkins, the Director of Development for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and Kwame Bab, a participating Big Brother in the Mentor 2.0 program. Good morning, Blaze and Kwame. Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
It's great to have you here. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to start off with a few questions so that those tuning in can learn a little bit more about you. So first off, Blaze, can you just give us a brief summary of your organization, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and what it is that you do?
Sure. First, I just want to say thank you for having us. This is an amazing opportunity for the agency. And I think throughout this, hopefully everyone watching will learn a little bit about more why this is so amazing for us. But so Big Brothers Big Sisters, premier one-to-one mentoring program. We serve Allegheny, Washington, and Greene counties. Obviously, it's a national agency. We are one of the affiliates. We serve, usually in a typical year, 14 to 1,500 children throughout the 3 counties. We have 3 programs. We have our community-based program that most people know us for, where, you know, the big, the mentor, the adult goes and picks up their little, the mentee, and they go on outings about twice a month for about 3 to 5 hours. And sometimes we can provide tickets and different things for them to do. And sometimes it's just as much as, you know, going for a walk in a part of the city that maybe they've never seen. So That's our community-based program. We also have our site-based program where we are partners with different schools and we go into the schools with our mentors. We have a staff member that leads those programs. They range anywhere from middle school to high school. And then we also have our Mentor 2.0 program, which Kwame is a part of. And that is an online platform-based program where they meet once a month with their mentors and what we call almost like a big family dinner, sort of, where everyone kind of gets together in the cafeteria. They still are working one-on-one with their mentor about the things that they're learning. But the goal of that program is really to guide them from 9th grade to the end of high school and really prepare them with a plan, whether that's post-secondary education, whether that's going into right into the workforce, whether that's trade school, just, whatever that may be. So really to help them graduate with a plan. So those are our 3 main programs, a little bit of something to offer for everybody, a little bit of a time commitment difference for each program. So I say there's always something for everyone.
Wonderful, thank you. And Kwame, how do you participate in the organization as a big?
Right, so yes, I'm part of the Mentor 2.0. So for me, it's a combination of going to those meetings once a month, and being there with the mentor, hanging out and having conversations at that moment, which are very fun interactions. And then online, we're constantly chatting online, so that platform allows us to have casual conversations or have conversations specifically about the things that we're learning week to week and month to month with the mentor, with the mentee.
Fantastic. So now, can you both tell me a little bit about how you both got started and what drew you to Big Brothers Big Sisters? What got that interest going for you?
Well, for me, I actually was a big sister for about 7 years. My little has since graduated 2 years ago. Yes. She's now working and we still stay in touch. She was actually one of the first people to check in on me when COVID happened. So she is like the sweetest person and one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Sometimes I'd say I think she was more mature than I was half the time. She's just wonderful. So I met her. And then as I was big with her in the site-based program, we were able, once that was ending through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, when we were graduating from that program, from the site-based, they offered us the opportunity to become a community-based match. So her family was okay with it. She wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. And we stayed together until she graduated. So when a position opened up at Big Brothers Big Sisters, I knew, how much this agency meant to me, how much the mission truly does work. And, that was about 6 years ago now. So when I started with the agency, I said, development can be difficult and fundraising can be difficult, but not when it's for something that you love and something that works. So being able to see those matches, from every program that make it easy to talk about what we do and who we are and the reason and the need for our program and to help continue to serve these littles in our community. I mean, it's been 6 years of a job that I absolutely love. So that's my story.
I love that. That's wonderful that you got started as a big, just grew and developed with the organization. That's wonderful. So Kwame, what got you started? What drew you in?
So for me, it was actually a presentation that Big Brother Big Sister came to give at the company I work at. So I'm a game developer. I'm an artist. And they came to the studio and were presenting, and I actually didn't know. I mean, obviously I've heard of the organization before, but the presentation just made me feel like I got to do this. This seems like it was easy to jump into. And so I think for me it was a kind of a call to action. I heard it. I read it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like something that I could do. It sounds like something that's accessible to me and something that was just so positive to be able to connect with somebody and try to help them navigate, through high school, especially, something that's always turbulent for so many kids. I think I was inspired by the presentation, hearing about all the other bigs, and felt like I could just step up and do something.
Great. Well, Blaze, it seems like your representatives that you have out there great job stirring up interest if the presentations are what drag them in. So that's fantastic. And I love this thought of, being close to someone. And I know that we spoke briefly, Blaze, you said that your little was one of the first people to kind of check in on you with COVID. Have you guys noticed any particular difficulties in regards to COVID with, kind of balancing, seeing or keeping in touch with your littles or anything like that?
Sure. I'll speak first to that. So definitely, looking at the different programs as an agency, I mean, we're really based on those one-to-one relationships, right? And so being with that little, being able to have that connection, do things, that consistency. But see, with our kids, the consistency is what matters. Having somebody that's there, and that's not to replace a parent. That's not. It's just having an extra adult role model in your life. And so, with COVID, we've had to adapt just as everyone else has. And, we're fortunate to have a support system and have the bigs that we have, and to have partners like UPMC to be able to continue to do the work we do. So just like everyone else, we moved everything online. We were providing online activities. We did most of our site-based programs online, and then we were trying to help our bigs and littles connect online. There are some barriers. Obviously, some of our littles, coming from underserved communities don't have access to, a computer to Zoom or do things like that. So really trying to make sure to work with the families to figure out a way to keep them connected, whether that was dropping off things at the house, or stopping outside to wave with masks on. But because, like I said, that consistency is something that matters so much to the kids that we serve. That's why we feel our programs are such a need, because some of our kids, we work with Pittsburgh Public School children. They haven't been in school, since last year, so not getting that connection. And our bigs and the agency are that one source of connection that they've continued to have. So I think it's been very important, the work that we do. And I really think our bigs, our staff, our board, our partners have really stepped up to make sure that we stay that consistency in their life.
That's excellent. I know that it can be so difficult, and a lot of people have really kind of dealt with not being able to see their loved ones, their friends close to them through COVID. So it's wonderful that, Big Brothers Big Sisters has kind of found a way to navigate around that, because those are relationships that are definitely necessary. So glad to hear that. And, clearly we know that there's always a need for our young people to have access to strong role models. So Kwame, what exactly is a big, and what do they do? From soup to nuts, from beginning to end.
Yeah. So I think, it was interesting reading on what a big was before I started being a big, but I think I kind of understood it just being an adult and meeting my little for the first time and saying like, oh, they're expecting something from me. Like you can see it in their eyes. They're like, oh, this person is coming in here to talk to me. But really, you're a guide, right? You're a friend. You're someone to try to teach them and learn from. You really are someone that you're crafting this relationship in order to help them navigate through through their teens into becoming an adult and trying to explain and express what the world is beyond where they are, and even just navigating through what they're going through now, so you really are just another adult, another person to help them ask, to craft a relationship with, to ask questions, to have someone to listen to and to bounce ideas off of. I know when I was a kid, I wasn't necessarily very always open to just meeting another adult and feeling like I could ask them a question that was kind of burning inside, or some difficulty that I was dealing with at school, so the fact that that crafting that relationship is kind of the nurturing, the basis of being a big, and then working through anything that comes up to a level. The BBBS does a great job of kind of focusing the bigs to say, this is what we should focus here, and work on that. And then anything outside, there's always there to support Blaze and everyone else to if things go beyond that. So it really is, you're there as a guide, you're there as a teacher, you're there as a friend.
So it seems pretty much like, you just come in and you're your most authentic self, and, you just kind of show them friendship and understanding. I really love that relationship. It's very organic and not forced. So, that's absolutely wonderful. I do have to ask, about the organization. Both of you are coming in from kind of different ways. You're both affiliated in different ways. Kwame, you're a current big. Blaze, you were, a big before, but now you're, working officially with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Have you found that there's kind of a need for more diverse bigs to participate in the program?
Yes, so I think one of the things, so we have about 200 kids on our waiting list. It can range anywhere from 180 to 250 at any time. And so most of those kids on our waiting list are little boys. And so we at first need a lot of male mentors, but a lot of those little boys are diverse. And so I think it is important, and yes, we do need a more diverse community of bigs. And I think that's because, you do want to see somebody who looks like you. It does make you feel a little more comfortable, but also, it's about being a community, right? And working together. And so, yes, I do think that we definitely, we have a need for diverse bigs, and we're doing as much as we can to focus on that diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and getting out in the community, working with different partners, working with different corporations, educating our bigs, as much as we can in order to recruit bigs that will reflect the children that we serve.
Wonderful. And so what is it that Big Brothers Big Sisters is currently doing within the community to address this issue? Kwame, from your point of view as a Black male mentor, have you experienced, certain things that you're able to get out into the community more and kind of talk to people about what the needs are? And Blaze, is there anything else that we should know Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing to kind of draw more attention to diversity?
Sure. Kwame, do you have anything you want to speak to first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I'm comfortable saying that, like, those were questions that I asked at the beginning as well, because I was just like, I wasn't sure, I didn't have all that insight yet. And there was a lot of care that was put into that, to addressing that reality, right? The aspect that we needed to have representation needed to matter in order for us to try to forge these kind of connections that allowed us to really explore some of the difficulties and some of the conversations that needed to happen, right? So I know from my perspective, I was like, oh man, this is something that is, this isn't a conversation that is being afraid to have. We can have this. We can actually talk about it. And it's something that I've seen in, I don't necessarily do recruiting, but I've seen the efforts that are put in in order to make sure to call out for diverse representation in our bigs, so that we can make sure to connect as fully as possible with whoever, whatever kid needs a big.
Yeah, from our end, I just think, and you had asked, what possibly we need. I think the platform, right? So having this opportunity to have a platform to share what the need is, having mentors like Kwame who will come on and tell about their experience and help us within that diverse community to get us out there, get the word out there, to introduce us to more people. So it's a community effort, and I think all of Pittsburgh realizes that, and we're all doing it, and we're doing our best. And so knowing that this is our need, having the platform to share it, and that's why one thing, like, we appreciated this so much, because I think that even like a partnership with the August Wilson Center, right? That speaks to a diverse audience, that gives us the opportunity to share with our littles and even our bigs, because our bigs need it just as much as our littles, to share that audience, that work, with the community. And I think that it's really important that we continue to create those partnerships and relationships.
Oh, no, definitely. I absolutely agree with you there. And, so I know that there might be some interest from those in the community that might be tuning in today about what they can do to help, support mentoring young people, particularly those of minority groups in Pittsburgh. So what can we as individuals do to help? Blaze, what do you think?
I think the first step is educating yourself on what the need is and who we are as an agency. Check out the website, bbbspgh.org, and look into the programs. But I think the thing is, maybe you're not ready to be a big, but share. As long as you're sharing the message and you're sharing what it is that we are doing, you'll find somebody who's a big. Like, you always run into like that one other person, but sharing the message, I think, is the first step. Educating yourself, you know, on our community in general, because you need to learn the communities and the people the children we're serving and the families we're serving, to really understand what it is and why it's such an impactful relationship, and why the work that we're doing is so important. And I think so, sharing that message, inquiring about information, asking about the programs. Just because you put your name and email in a box does not mean you've signed up to be a big. There's a big process to go through to make sure that, you know, we have safe, quality matches. We want that relationship to last. So we do have a process for that. And then, you know, if you can't, obviously there's always that other way to support by attending events, helping us by referring us, giving us a platform to speak. We go into companies, we do lunch and learns, as Kwame said. So, you know, that's how we get a lot of our corporate partners as well, that we get a lot of bigs from to join in on the program. So I think, you know, it starts with the education, and I think, you know, just sharing and having conversations. We are a very grassroots agency, so you know, that's the most we could ask for, is that people, you know, start talking about us, start sharing the message, and helping give us a platform to speak.
And, you know, honestly, you know, as a partner of UPMC, that's, you know, kind of what we want to develop with these partnerships, you know, introducing you to other groups that we might have affiliations with and helping to spread the word. Is there anything else that you believe your organization needs to further its mission?
Well, I think I keep saying platform, but I think we have some great partnerships already in the city. And I think the more that we continue to grow those, so, you know, with one partner helping to introduce us to another, you know, I think that's honestly how we grow. You know, the number of kids are there, the waiting list is there. So needing the big, so it's all about that communication and sharing the word and what we need. I think, like we talked about, we do need diverse bigs, especially males. And so I think, you know, being able to get us into speaking to people who can help us with that recruitment as well. So that's just really what we're looking for. Any partners help enrich the work that we do with the kids as well. You know, we partner with a lot of different other organizations throughout the city to really try to give the kids the culture that they need, give them activities to do and experiences and opportunities that they wouldn't, or even getting them into companies to tour and see. You know, just because you go to a law firm, it doesn't mean they're all attorneys. You know, you have different jobs throughout that, you know, that law firm, or you know, we have corporate partners. And so, you know, if you go into a bank, it's not just tellers, there's all kinds of other corporate opportunities there and different things to do. So really exposing them. So having partners like that who can also give us resources to be able to provide to the kids. And one thing that was very nice throughout COVID, we were actually able to provide additional resources to our families, such as different food, gift cards, things like that, and especially around the holiday. And that was something that we hadn't been able to do before, but people were so forthcoming with their donations and how they wanted to help. I mean, people were really awesome during COVID. I have to say, we were very, very fortunate. And so with how they wanted to help. And so we were actually able to provide more things for our kids than we've ever been able to. So those resources are crucial as well.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to talk a little bit about the additional benefits of Big Brothers Big Sisters and mentoring in general. I mean, honestly, we hear a lot about what the benefits are for the littles, of course, but you know, it's got to be a great experience for the bigs as well. So Kwame, can you tell me from your point of view, what makes being a big so worthwhile?
Yeah. I really think it has been, I know for me, it's been pretty enlightening to be connected to a group, you know, a group of kids that I don't have to be connected to, you know. I think they are really exhilarating group, you know, being around teens in high school, seeing their experience, hearing their experiences and their perspectives. To me, you know, it gives me a new way to see what we're all experiencing, to see it from their perspective and to be able to help and tap into that. In a way, I'm a parent as well. I have a daughter, and so I'm already doing that work. But at the same time, it's a reinforcement of like some of the lessons that I'm trying to teach her, trying to teach them, seeing it from different perspectives. There's so much to learn, and seeing all these kids, and what they're doing and what they're dealing with. And it's a reinforcement. It's a constant reinforcement of the things that we do as adults, as we grow, and what's important in those things. To reassess those things within ourselves, to say like, is that important? I'm teaching these kids right now, so I have found that within myself, that those have been lessons that I don't think I could have necessarily learned that in that way. I don't think I could have touched those kind of experiences like that. And this experience has really been that for me. I've been able to get some new learning, new experiences, and new perspective. So it's been really great.
That's beautiful. I honestly love that, you're able to kind of take what you know as a parent and apply it to being a big, and learn things from being a big and maybe apply it to being a parent. So, it really kind of contributes to all facets of your life, is, kind of what I'm getting from what you're saying. I think that's fantastic. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that this particular community day celebrates what would have been August Wilson's 76th birthday. So it's come to my attention that Big Brothers Big Sisters intends to have the Bigs incorporate education about August Wilson's legacy and his works into their time with their mentees. So for both of you, what does introducing the work and history and legacy of such a powerful Pittsburgh-grown writer, introducing it to the littles, mean to you?
If you think about, his history and the resiliency, right, that he had. And I think that's something we try to instill in our littles so much, that resiliency. There's no point A to point B. There's no definite path of, some people start at college and end up leaving and going and doing something else. Some people go right into the workforce, and then some people go off and create things. He ended up being a writer after, I think, going a few different paths, and that's what he wanted to do. So I think it was that resiliency that I think is such a good thing with his work. I think arts is huge to help shape, culture, to help shape, child's creativity. So I think kind of working with the August Wilson Center, and if we can create some of those activities and really educate our children and our bigs on not only his work, but what his work has done for the community, and really the culture, right? That was what he was all about, that African-American culture that I think we're also yearning to make sure that we're understanding and communicating about and a part of. I think really will help our kids, not only our kids, but our bigs grow within that. So I think it's something so wonderful to have here as a resource in Pittsburgh, to have him as somebody who is from Pittsburgh and created all of that and did all, that history, to really instill within our kids. It's a great story. The art behind it is great. Believe me, I've seen some of the talented writing our kids can do, and not only writing, just arts in general, design. Some of them are really good at that, and just painting. But I think it's one of those things that really creates a well-rounded person and individual. And I think that that's something that is absolutely wonderful to instill in children. We have kids who start in this program at 6 years old. So it's a great way to start that creativity and start their minds and brains going with opportunities, and just, look where you can go. Really, his path was a great one. So it was definitely a legacy.
Thank you, Blaze. And Kwame, how about you? What does it mean to you knowing that we'll be kind of incorporating the works of this great Pittsburgh, grown writer into, what's going to be happening at Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yeah. I think for me, Blaze nailed a lot of things, and for me, I think just the understanding that, he's such a talented Black creative, right? Like a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, and there's so much of it right here in Pittsburgh, right? I think there's so much about the creative talents of some of the Black artists that we've had here that aren't always taught, People don't always learn this stuff, so I think representation of expressing that this person has the history here, it's baked in here, it's here for you to learn about, it's here for you to be a part of and see yourself in. There's I don't know how to put words to how valuable that is, to have someone to be able to point to and walk with them, through a museum, to be able to say, like, this is his work, and show them this and talk through it, like that is it's really invaluable, so I think it's important for us to connect to Pittsburgh, to connect to someone whose work has forever changed here and forever changed so many people, and express that you could be them, you could see yourself in them, for Black kids everywhere, and for everyone. It really is for someone to look up to them. And I think August Wilson is deserving of that credit, so I'm very excited to be part of it.
No, I absolutely couldn't agree more. I think this is such an amazing and exciting time for both the littles and the bigs at Big Brothers Big Sisters. There's so much potential for learning about August Wilson and all that he brought to Pittsburgh. And it's such a wonderful time to learn about, the arts and writing and playwriting and things like that. So, so excited to hear what's next with that. Blaze and Kwame, thank you so much for your time today. It was absolutely fantastic to learn more about you, about your organization, the importance of mentoring tomorrow's leaders in the community. Once again, Blaze and Kwame's organization is Big Brothers Big Sisters. So if you're interested in giving back, learning more about becoming a big, if you have any kids that are interested in becoming littles, then that's absolutely something that you can do. Just go to their website, bbbspgh.org. And once again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leah Bickerton, and I own the Tiny Bookstore. The Tiny Bookstore is about 270 square feet of books, toys, and collectibles located in the North Hills of Pittsburgh. We sell a wide variety of books. We have bestsellers, nonfiction, romance, classics, self-help, business books. If you can think of the book, we have it. And if you'd like to shop with us, you can shop online at tinybooksonline.com. We can set that up for a curbside pickup, or you can have it shipped to your home. Again, we're the Tiny Bookstore at tinybooksonline.com.
August Wilson is without a doubt my favorite playwright, without a doubt, because he gives performers like me a chance to evaluate what it means to be human. Because yes, all his characters are Black, but they're so much more than just a monolith. They are humans living in a human world. And that ability to explore that through our art is a great gift. And I appreciate the fact that he gave it to me. So that is why he is my favorite playwright of all time.
Hi, I'm Sophia Early, and I'm a graduating senior VFA musical theater major at Howard University.
Hi, Sophia. Can you tell me, what is your favorite thing about August Wilson's plays?
My favorite thing about August Wilson's plays is the rhythm. He has this beautiful way of writing dialogue and monologues that almost sounds like music in its cadence and the way that it's supposed to be said. And through every single one of his shows, you can always find the heartbeat of the piece. And I love the way that they sound.
Hi, my name is Lo Williams, and today I will be performing Joan of Arc from William Shakespeare's Henry VI, Part 1. First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not me, begotten from shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy. chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace to work exceeding miracles on earth. I've never had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices, because you want the grace that others have. You judge it straight a thing impossible to compass wonders but by help of devils. No, misconceived. Joan of Arc hath been a virgin since her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood, now thus rigorously effused, will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
On another trip around the sun, your cycles celebrate your life so that now you may rest. The speaker of Black America, with a naked delivery, a man of challenge, challenge of intellect and belief, challenge of Black man, is he free? 60 years of life, stories of 100. Just the tip of the iceberg, a block of ice that we thought might melt before the people could see it in its majesty. The Pittsburgh cycle that we all know is not unique. It lives in the boroughs of New York, the ghettos of Compton, the slums of North Carolina, for we are Black. We are one. For the rhythm of your walk and the song of your talk found its way to his fingertips. I see my grandmother's hands blessing the stories he creates. I see my mother, civil rights born, Sister Teresa. I see me, distant admirer to the playwright. My work may never touch his ears, but the chord runs through us both, strumming so that it rings for all the ancestors. Having the courage to put yourself on that stage each time you wrote a new character. They all wear your shoes. We try to walk miles in them. We never forget you did the marathon first. We cherish a man who wrote stories where we all feel blood pumping, hearts racing, veins popping, teeth grinning, breath stopping. While others were squeezing into molds and shaving off pieces of themselves, you existed as water, fertilizing the land, nourishing our roots, growing so that we all could eat from your tree. We cannot praise Viola and Denzel without giving August his flowers too. Gardenias and carnations may not be enough, may not last another breath, but Mr. Wilson, I offer you this rose until the 27th day of the 4th month returns to us all.
Hello, my name is Shannon Palmer, and this is Too Beautiful for Words from The Color Purple, music and lyrics by Brenda Russell, Ali Willis, and Stephen Bray. I've always been the kind of gal that had a lot to say. I says the things that's on my mind, too dumb to shy away. But you hush my mouth and still me with a song I never heard. I guess that means that you are just too beautiful for words. I've seen this place from high and low, and all that's in between. I've danced with coons, crooned with counts, been courted like a queen. But when I see what's in your heart, all the rest is blurred. The grace you bring into this world's too beautiful for words. You hide your head under your wings, just like a little bird. Oh, don't you know that you are just too beautiful for words? too beautiful for words.
In this discussion, we are not only talking to the oppressed, but the people who have the skin tone of the oppressor. But these people aren't oppressors, they're allies. With allies on our side, we can fight and show that the color of our skin, sexuality, and religion makes us no different than the next person. Since the beginning of time, there has always been this unwritten rule that a person with a lighter skin complexion will have better opportunities in life. But we can rewrite the narrative and show that discrimination is taught but isn't law. The more we work together, the less discrimination there is, which one day will create a more equitable society.
Okay, discrimination is a barrier against diversity. Racism is a void of pain and destruction, devouring people and places with a purpose that will never be filled. Segregation separates society with the tip of a warped knife. In your neighborhood, there is no trust. In your life, there is no belonging, no place you can go without being judged, no house or neighborhood you can go that won't call you names because of your identity, your sexuality, your race, your religion, or because you speak with a different language than they know, because you write with a different voice than they want. Everything you do is covered by the shadow of racism and is suppressed by a pain that is placed on your identity.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Thriving During COVID-19 Health and Wellness for the Mind, Body, and the Spirit. Next. All right, as we get our presentation started today, I just want to acknowledge that this can be a really stressful time for a lot of us. I don't know about you, but this is my first pandemic. And so there are a lot of emotions, a lot of stress, and there is a lot going on for many of us. Some of us have lost our jobs. Some of us are working in new arrangements with our family. Some of us have lost friends or family members. And so I hope that this presentation today can help us to find new or even go back to old ways to support our mental health and wellness, as well as our mind, body, and spirit during this very challenging time. Next slide. So I thought it might be helpful to start with what it means to thrive. And I went right to the dictionary for this, and dictionary.com tells us that to thrive is to grow and develop and to flourish. And I particularly really love that word flourish. And Merriam-Webster defines it as to progress towards or realize a goal despite circumstances. And that word circumstances really kind of sticks out for me as well. And I have another definition that I'll share for you here in a slide or two. Next. So before we get into some of the tools and techniques and strategies that I'm going to talk about today, I just really want to acknowledge that COVID has impacted our ability to thrive in so many ways. And some of us might be here in this session today wondering what tips and tools might help for me. Some of you may feel like you're past the worst of it and on to this new area. And so I just want to be able to acknowledge that COVID-19 has affected us all in really big and significant and different ways. And there are small things that we can do either individually or as a community that can really help us come together and thrive. Next slide. So I came across a really great article about a week or so ago by Ash Buchanan. And I thought that this author did the best of what I've seen for a while in terms of really resonating what it means to thrive. And so the author described kind of 3 different layers, and I have them here on the slide. And the first one is that in a pandemic or in a situation like we've all been experiencing, we tend to first go into this survival mode. And that's really kind of continuing to simply exist, right? So that day to day. And then from there, we move into this place of resilience where we're able to bounce back and we're able to cope with uncertainty. And many of you may even be in the survival, or maybe you're moving to resilience, or maybe you're in this next bucket where you're thriving. And thriving is really this condition beyond resilience where we're no longer surviving. We feel like we're able to bounce back. And there's kind of this rejuvenation after an uncertain or an unexpected event. And this is where we're really feeling like we're persevering, we're discarding what we no longer need, and we're creating this new capacity to flourish. And I hope that today's tips will help you with tools and strategies as you kind of move across this continuum and head towards that thriving. Next slide. So before we move into specific tips for mind, body, and soul, I thought it might be helpful just to very generally talk about these strategies for thriving and what they might be. And the first one is being able to acknowledge uncertainty. For many of us, it has been a very uncertain time, and we are needing to be more flexible than ever. So we need to be able to practice flexibility. You might be working from home, your kids might be home, you might be taking care of a loved one. There's a lot of change and a lot of things that are happening. I think about like a gum band, and we're kind of moving and stretching differently than we ever had. And the third one is to find meaning and purpose. So when I think about meaning and purpose, this is really things that bring you joy and bring you happiness. And it's important to be able to find time to connect to do those things. The next is reinforcing those positive behaviors. And maybe those are some of the same things that bring you meaning and purpose, but whether it be a morning meditation or an evening walk or drinking and eating healthy food and beverages, whatever those positive behaviors are, trying to keep them going even during uncertain times. And then the final one's the one that I love the most. It's practicing compassion and self-love, because it's so easy to be hard on ourselves during this time. And really, it's a time to understand that we are doing the best that we can in a new circumstance, in a new situation, and really being able to take it easy on ourselves and practice that self-love. So then that takes us into the nooks and the cranny of our presentation today. So first, we're going to talk about strategies for the mind. Then we're going to move into the body, and then we're going to end with the soul. And I'm going to take you through a guided gratitude and joy meditation that I hope you're really looking forward to. Next slide. First, we're going to start with the mind. And when I think about health and wellness for the mind during this time, what really comes to mind for me is supporting our mental and our emotional health. And there's a few ways that you can do that. The first one is to have an emotional support system in place. This is a group of people or a person or even a community that you know that you can go to when times are getting tough. And it could be places like your church. It could be a community group. It could be your best friend, your sister, family member, etc. But knowing who that support system might be, maybe it's a therapist or a counselor, and knowing that when things get tough and you do need some support, you're able to call upon them. The next is structure and routine. And I know that I just said to try to be flexible during this time, so I'll explain this a little more. Structure and routine just means that for a lot of people, having something to look forward to can really help to bring a sense of ease. So if you do like structure, maybe it's as simple as scheduling in regular breaks during your new setup during your workday. It could be as simple as taking a walk every morning, or maybe it's something that you do before bed or even early in the morning. So providing yourself a little bit of structure and routine, just something that you can know and count on. And the next one is connection. Connection, so important. We're going to talk about it a lot in this presentation today. It's kind of woven throughout, but really knowing and understanding who you can go to and count on for that human connection. We know that talking to a friend or a family member, even virtually, can release hormones that have the potential to reduce inflammation. So whether that be FaceTime, video chat, Google Hangouts, whatever your virtual platform might be, during this time of social distancing, it still means that we can have connection. And then the final is exercise. We know that exercise can have profound impact on our emotional and mental health. So whether you're feeling really great, or maybe you're watching this presentation and you're thinking, wow, I'm anxious, or I'm depressed, or maybe I'm feeling alone, there are tools and resources out there. There are therapists and counselors available, and just making sure that you are able to take that first step to support your own mental health and wellness so that you can be there for others who need and count on you. Next slide. All right, we're gonna go to my favorite part, which is focusing on the body. Next slide. So I wanted to start out with focusing on the body because movement really can support your health in profound ways. We know that being physically active can support all different types of components of our health and wellness. And at the same time, I also know that many of you at home may be a single head of household, and maybe you really can't leave the house, and maybe you're a caretaker, or maybe you live in a neighborhood that's not safe to get out and about. So there are lots of different circumstances. So I try to keep this as very general as possible. And the first one is to do what we can. And remember kind of that theme of being kind to ourselves during this time. This goes back to being kind to yourself and knowing that your circumstances are different. So whether it be that you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 50 minutes that you can spend and a lot to moving your body, that is okay. Start where you can and do what you can. The next is to head outdoors. I like to always encourage people to consider the benefits of being out in nature. It's also stress relieving in itself, but it's also a free way to be out and about in your community and to get a little bit of exercise or physical activity. So whether it be a local park, or maybe your neighborhood is safe enough that you can walk the sidewalk, or maybe you're able to walk in your own yard or just be out and about, that can be a really easy and inexpensive way to get in physical activity. The next is trying free and online fitness classes, and a quick internet search would probably provide you a lot of YouTube videos and different things that you can try. The library might have free videos that you can use. Your community center might be streaming these. And then if you're looking for other resources, UPMC Health Plan has a blog, the UPMC My Health Matters blog. We have all kinds of free exercises and different things on there as well. So there are a lot of tools and resources available to find these free online classes. And then the final thing I'll say about doing these classes is that you don't need to show up with a lot of equipment or buy new things. If you have water bottles or soup cans at home, you can always just use those for weights if you're doing a strength class, and just kind of use the things around you to be successful. You can definitely be thrifty. You don't need to go buy a bunch of equipment just because you're doing a class that maybe requires it. And then finally is sit less and stand more. So when I think about sit less, stand more, it's really about moving our body and being able to make sure that you're giving yourself time out of seat. So many of us are working from home and we're finding ourselves in positions where we're sitting at computers for long periods of time. So how can you work in some of those quick breaks? Maybe it's walking up and down the stairs, maybe it's just walking around your house, etc. But just making sure that you're trying to sit less and move your body as much as you can. Next slide. The next tip is stress management. So for stress management, there's a lot of things you can do. And the first one is using positive self-talk. And for positive self-talk, it's all about how you're speaking to yourself. We say that the most important conversation happens right here between your two ears, and that's the conversation that you're having with yourself. So positive self-talk is talk that is promoting positivity. So things like you can do it and you are enough. Brene Brown, for those of you who are familiar with her work, she says, talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. The next one is stress zappers. And I think I might have made this term up, but stress zappers are things that are super quick in the moment that you can do that release stress. So for me, it might be something like 10 jumping jacks, or it might be listening to my favorite song, talking to a friend, deep breathing. Any of those things will help you to reduce your stress in the moment. And the next one's relaxation and meditation. So there's formal things you can do here, whether it be deep breathing, practicing mindfulness, which we're going to do here soon. Maybe it's certain types of meditation or progressive muscle relaxation. There's lots of options here that you can do, and you can find all kinds of tutorials online for this as well. And then the final one's making time for hobbies and interests. So making sure that you are spending time doing things that you really enjoy, because that can supercharge your body. It gives you an opportunity to relax. It reduces those stress hormones, and it really provides you that sense of replenishment in terms of getting out of feeling like everything is so high stakes. Next slide. All right, so the next topic is healthy eating. And I tried to keep these tips really general too, because I want to acknowledge that some of us on the call today may be experiencing hardship because of COVID-19. You may be in a situation where you're supplementing your income. You might be using a food bank. You might be using some other options to supplement you and your family's meals. And so I wanted to make sure that we're kind of keeping it in the middle of the road, so that these are strategies that any of us could do with any means that we might have. And so the first one is trying to eat colorful foods. And I get a lot of questions about this in terms of, well, does it have to be fresh? And does it have to be, salad, etc.? And the answer is no. As long as you're eating a colorful diet, whether it be fresh or canned or frozen food, it's really about getting vitamins and minerals and nutrients and variety in your body. And the next is spice and seasonings. And this is one of my favorite, because antioxidants are found in fresh herbs and in spices like cinnamon and paprika. And so those alone have a lot of benefits for the body. But I also like this because you can also reduce the amount of sodium and salt that you're using in your food. You might not have to use as much sauce, which saves you calories. You might not need to use some of those extra toppings like ketchup and different things. And so you're not only saving calories, but you're adding a lot of flavor and getting some health benefits at the same time. And then the last one is being cautious of snacking and boredom eating. And this one's really about, more people are at home than ever. The kitchen's right around the corner. So just try to watch what it is that you're eating. If you find that maybe you're eating a little bit more than usual, maybe start keeping a food log, etc. And then, of course, always involve the family. If you have someone at home with you and you're able to, maybe you make a bigger batch of food and you give some to your neighbor or a family member who is having a hard time or in need. Maybe you freeze some of it for another day. So spending time with the family, maybe making bigger batches, trying new recipes, doing different things that bring you and your family joy when it comes to different types of eating and food. Next slide. So the next one's sleep. And this is my favorite because I love sleep. And there are a lot of things that can disrupt our sleep, especially now during a pandemic. So a few tips here. The first one's paying attention to our food and drink in the evening, making sure that we're not having anything that has a stimulant in it, making sure that, maybe if alcohol is keeping you up, maybe have that earlier in the evening or foregoing it altogether. And then setting a sleep schedule. So all of our routines are off right now. How can you maybe try to go to bed at the same time and try to still wake up at the same time? I love a good nap, but naps can also interrupt your sleep schedule. So you may have to avoid napping. And I started something recently that's been really helpful for me, and that's setting a bedtime ritual. So what do you do before bed that kind of helps you start to unwind? Maybe it's turning off the electronics, reading a book, etc. And then we've already talked about managing stress, but stress and sleep are so interconnected. So this is really important too. Next slide. So before we move into our meditation, we're going to talk really quickly about the soul. Next slide. And I wanted to start with a really quick quote that I think just kind of wraps up what many of us are feeling right now. And it's by Dr. Cynthia Thack. And she says, even in the most difficult circumstances, we can focus on a single moment that provides a reason to be joyful. And as you become more aware of the moment by being more mindful, you begin to connect your inner self. And this helps you to energize your soul with essential nourishment to counterbalance any negativity or emotions that you may be feeling. Next slide. And so there are so many ways that we can rejuvenate our spirit and our soul. And I thought that it might be helpful to focus on just a few. And the first one is practicing mindfulness and compassion. And like our body, our mind and our spirit also fatigue. And then with the compassion piece, I already talked a little bit about this, but we are so hard on ourselves sometimes, and we can be our biggest kind of critics. And so things like telling ourselves you are valuable, you are enough, you are seen, you are capable, just practicing that compassion and positive self-talk can have a really big benefit. The next is gratitude, and we're going to do a gratitude meditation here in a few minutes, which I'm really excited about, but making note of the things that you're really grateful for. We know that individuals who are more grateful, they tend to be happier, they have better social relationships, better sleep, less depression, etc. So really making space in our hearts and our minds for the things that we are grateful for and paying attention to that. And then the final thing is staying connected. We are human beings, and I know that I've talked about this so many times today, but it's so true. Any way that we can have connection is going to support us. And so whether that be a video chat, a socially distanced chat, spending time with your family in a way that's safe, whatever that might be, really trying to stay connected because we really are creatures of connection as human beings. Next slide. So now we're going to get into our meditation, which is the part that I'm most excited for today. So I want to say a few things about meditation before we get started. And the first thing is that you do not have to be a pro at meditation. In fact, I'm here with you today. I'm going to walk you through a meditation, but I'm not a pro either. And you can kind of just go with the flow, set any intention that you want. So maybe you want to do, we're going to do a gratitude meditation today, but maybe you do a breathing meditation or something else, totally up to you. And you can focus on what's most important to you in the moment. And you don't need a lot of time to do this. We're going to spend about 4 minutes during our meditation today, but you really can do a few minute meditation or you can do a longer meditation. And there's a lot of really great videos online and tools and resources. Our UPMC My Health Matters blog has a few resources available as well, including a guided meditation that I did a few weeks ago. So again, lots of options available when it comes to guided meditation. So what I'd like for you to do, I'm going to turn on the music here in a moment. It'll just kind of be in the background for us. But what I'd like for you to do is get into a really comfortable position and to really just start to connect with your breathing. So nice big inhales, nice big exhales. And I'm going to go ahead and start our music. And like I said, we're going to focus on gratitude today, and I'll walk you through what that looks like. So you should be able to hear some light music. And what I'd like for you to do is to close your eyes. I'll do this with you. And I'd like for you to just start by inhaling through the nose, nice big inhale, and exhaling out the mouth, nice and forceful. And just start to connect with your breathing. Feel your breath, feel your lungs as you inhale. And then a nice big exhale as you release. And as you do this, you might even be inhaling and thinking about something that you want to let go. And with every exhale, just give it a big push out. Relax that face, your head, your eyelids, your jaw, and really just start to center in on something that you're grateful for. It could be something like your family. It could be something tangible. It could be a resource. Just start to think and focus on something that you're grateful for. It can be anything. And with every breath, start to just zero in on that thing or two just a little bit more. And now as you start to inhale and exhale, I'd like you to think about what is it about that thing that you're grateful for that brings you joy? And start to really fill a small box in your mind with all the reasons why you're grateful for that thing or things that you've chosen. And continue those big inhales and big exhales. And I'm going to give you a moment to just put all of those positive thoughts of gratitude into a little box and hold on to that for a moment. Put it close to the heart and really just start to zero in on the joy that that gratitude brings you. And you're going to go ahead and take that box of joy and gratitude and just kind of tuck it away in the back of your mind. Put it somewhere where you can easily grab it if you need it later. And with your next inhale and exhale, I'd like you to slowly start to open your eyes. Start to kind of reconnect here with me in the moment. Now that you have that thing that you're grateful for and it's easily accessible to you. And the music's going to stop here. If your eyes are still closed, start to reconnect with me. And we're back. All right, so that was a really quick example. I'm not a pro on meditation, and you can do some things very similar just like that in the moment. And I don't know about you, but I already feel really relaxed and kind of good to go for my day. We do have just a few more slides to go. So thank you for taking that time and building your gratitude box. So we have a number of tools and resources available to you. All of the tips that I've given you today appear regularly on our UPMC My Health Matters blog. So that's a good resource for health and wellness. But when it comes to COVID-19, you can always call our member service line on the back of your UPMC card, or visit this website listed here. Some benefits that may be available to you include using our $0 copay for your anywhere care visits, so telehealth and being able to stay at home during this time and still have connection to your doctors. You might not have costs for in-network inpatient treatment, which can be really big during this time. You might need tested, so access to COVID testing. And then we, of course, always have our My Health 24/7 nurse line, and that's available to you to call in and to get support and to ask questions should you need it. So UPMC Health Plan is here to help you during this time, and we're here to support you. And if you do ever have any questions, you can always call the number on the back of your insurance card, and we'd be more than happy to get you connected. Next slide. So with that, I just want to say thank you for spending this 30 minutes with me today. I know that your time is precious and valuable, and there were a lot of things that you could have been doing today. I hope that you enjoyed the tips. And again, we're all in different circumstances. So depending where you are and what your situation is, you might be able to take one tip, you might be able to take a few tips, but starting small, having that love and self-compassion for yourself and knowing and understanding that this is a difficult time and you are doing the very best that you can, and that is enough. And just making sure that you know and understand that there are resources and tools available to you. And I hope you enjoyed the meditation, and it's been such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you.
I started feeling real bad, and she was immediately like, "You're going to the hospital." And I didn't fuss, which I usually do. I had no idea that I was having a heart attack.
But on the way there, we had green lights.
Because she was going to run them anyway, because I had told her to run them. Staff, they treated me like I was the MVP. If I would have waited, it would have been too late.
They had did everything they needed to do to save her life.
And to me, that's love. I did not choose to have a heart attack, but I did choose UPMC.
My name is Tiara Thorne.
And I'm Colleen Petticord. We are two social workers, and this is our business, Blanket and Board. We currently offer seasonal picnics outdoors in the spring, summer, and fall. In addition to that, we offer charcuterie boxes delivered to the park for do-it-yourself picnics. So for example, if you're on a hike in Frick Park, you can plan a picnic afterward. We also offer grazing tables for small parties such as micro weddings. And in addition to all of this, we want to continue to highlight our devotion to Pittsburgh's community.
Since June, we have done over 150 picnics, and this is some of the feedback we have received.
Sierra and I met as clinicians working in a childhood trauma treatment center. We started Blanket and Board as a creative outlet where we're able to focus on self-care in the midst of a very challenging and emotional year. We've become close friends in the process, and we're excited and hopeful for what happens next for us.
Grandma B's interview, take one.
My name is Dorian Moorfield. I'm the owner of Grandma B's Cafe. Well, as for myself, I'm a Hazelwood native, born and raised in Pittsburgh. I've been coming on the Hill District and been frequenting the Hill District since the 80s. So some people think I'm even from the Hill, but actually I'm from Hazelwood. Well, Grandma B's was established this month 11 years ago. What inspired me to establish this business is I had a clothing business before this, and 11 years ago the economy crashed. And I was thinking about different businesses that would thrive through hard times, and everybody likes to eat, so we just decided to open up a restaurant. Well, several things makes Grandma B's unique, and from that is the hospitality, which we can always do better. But it's a family type vibe when you come in here. As our slogan is, it's not a cafe, but a culture, because we invite everybody from all different walks of life, all colors, spectrums. Everyone's invited here, and they share their stories as well as we share ours with them. So from that angle, Grandma B is very unique from the culture aspect as well as the food. From our signature dishes is our steak breakfast. It's a nice size steak. I don't think you can find it anywhere in the city for that price. We have something called a loaded fry, and it's a Grandma B original dish. Actually, it was a mistake turned into one of our best dishes, and that is a guy came in. His name is Global. He came in and asked for a salad with no vegetables, and the loaded fry was created from there. From our most memorable moments is the first day we opened, because we were trying to get everything perfect. You know, we were cleaning, we were remodeling, we were tweaking the menu, and my cook, he said, let's just open, you know. So we went and got some grand opening signs. My sister and my grandmother cooked sweets. We set up out front, and we had a crowd that we couldn't handle from day one. That's one of the memorable things. And also, when Anthony Bourdain came with Salahuddin, and they did an interview here, and we went to a few restaurants that they visited when Parts Unknown came to Pittsburgh. Well, if one wants to learn more about Grandma B's, we have an Instagram page, or they could just come in and they can ask questions. It can just be an organic conversation, and they can ask me questions as well as some of the employees that have been here for a while. And we would love to have you visit us at Grandma B's at 2537 Wiley Avenue, conveniently located in the Hill District. So come and taste one of our dishes. It's a whole experience.
August Wilson's history really is all about the Hill District. He started out being born, living in this house right up there on Bedford Avenue, lived there for the first 13 years of his life. The family moved to Hazelwood, but then he moved back to the Hill and lived here on his own until he was 33, when he went to St. Paul and later Seattle. However, he took the Hill with him because the Hill is the material of all his plays. But it all came out of this wonderful storehouse of story and life that he'd put together in his 33 years in the Hill District. August Wilson plays are something new for American theater. They became immensely popular right from the arrival of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on Broadway in 1984. There had never been a black playwright who was so accepted by a white audience, but also spoke to a black audience. So August Wilson remade the theater scene of America. So here we are in August Wilson Park, and what's wonderful about it is The house is right up there. This in August days when he was a kid, this was kind of a scrambly hillside, and he and his 5 siblings, there were 6 of them in all, and friends, they would come tumbling down the hillside. They would play cops and robbers, they would play pirates. August was often the leader of the group because he was a big kid, and he had a kind of a commanding way about him. Mainly, he had an imagination, and that's of course what you see later in the plays.
This center is actually in dedication to Teenie Harris, Charles Teenie Harris. And so they have a lot of Teenie Harris images here and a beautiful portrait of him here. And they wanted to name it after Teenie because, as you can see, it's right in the middle of the hill, and it is about an homage to what he did for the Hill District and the city of Pittsburgh in his photography. You know, there are 80,000 images of his online. So we have Nina Simone, and we even have Teenie in front of his original studio, which was down on Center Avenue, Cab Calloway, just a bunch of photos. And these are wonderful because these have the montage. And actually, this is Teenie when he was a little boy, when he was 3 years old. So this is Kaylee Roy Irvis and Thelma Levitt, who has her own building down the street.
Without the famous people, this is what August did.
Yes.
He dramatized the life of the Hill District the way Teenie did. I mean, the two are really flip sides of the same coin in a way.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. And then this is so reminiscent of both of them, of streetcars and activities and things that kids did together that August wrote about and Teenie depicted in his photography.
Yeah, I love the way Teenie, on his way to shoot something he was being paid for, would also take these shots of people who weren't paying, you know, in the back alleys, the flop houses, you know, the variety of life in the hill,
or even
the
just
unders.
a photo like this, just a picture that he liked, an image that he thought was important and beautiful. And then there's this one, and you know, like you said, this reminds me of an August Wilson type of photo.
That's fences.
Yeah.
Like fences. It's a little fence. But I was thinking that could be a young rose.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know, and the back of the housing and whatnot. So.
And this is a scene from Two Trains Running. I mean, people all around the country who are producing August Wilson's plays go to the Teenie Harris collections to get images that they can use to design their sets and inform their actors.
Exactly, and the two of them together, they make such a wonderful pairing. And so there's some more photos down here. And
wow.
Yeah. And this is what Teenie did best. He picked photos and captured them of things that people wouldn't get. Of course, that's Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay, but that's him holding his mother in a venue up in the Hill District. And so Teenie was right there and was able to capture it. And then we have, you know, street scenes, kind of like an August Wilson street scene, something going on here. This was a protest, actually, kind of an informal protest and picket. So it's just beautiful what they've done here. And then Lena Horne and Eartha Kitt are down here. So we have Eartha Kitt and we have Lena Horne, two big stars of their day. And of course, Lena was raised here in the Hill. She came here in her teens, and actually my relatives, my mom and her sisters, grew up with Lena. They were the same age, so they hung out at the Lawendai Club and various places together. So there's a lot of rich history that Teenie captured, but August, you know, put in his place.
So, of course, August is not a historian per se, but he uses the materials of history and then dramatizes it, kind of getting it under. I always say that August plays are fiction set in a real landscape.
I like that. That's perfect.
I was born and raised on the Hill. Unfortunately, I had to leave when I was about 12 years old because my dad was a minister here in Wesley Center Church, and he had been made a bishop, so we had to move out of the parsonage. But I love the Hill. My whole family was born and raised on the Hill, and my cousins and my uncle had a funeral home Fountain Funeral Home in the Hill, and I feel very connected to the Hill historically. My cousins went to Shenley and Heron Hill and Ailey Weil and Van and all kinds of connections to the Hill District, so it's a very dear hometown space for me. I think August would be as concerned as many of us who are the same age or a little younger than he is, and he'd want to see the same kind of change and progression. He'd like to see, in my estimation, the history preserved and even highlighted more, but have that carry through to what gets to be the next steps. And I think it's important that Hill District natives and Hill District people who have moved in understand what that history is, because I've spoken to students who are living right here in the Hill and they don't know their own history. So it's kind of a goal of mine to make certain that they know where they came from and what rich history came out of the Hill District.
As to what August Wilson would think of the Hill District today, well, we know, because he wrote a play set in 1997, Radio Golf, which really is about the Hill District of today. That is the Hill District that's fighting the battle between the people who've been here for generations and gentrification, which is on the way, and who's going to get the rights to do what. He had very strong opinions about that, and of course, as we see in that play, and really in all the other plays, he was all for the history of Black America and remembering that legacy and making it part of your own life.
I think the future for the Hill District is going to be very upward mobility, very positive. I think that the younger generations are going to be moving into the Hill and refurbishing it. I know that the Hill CDC and other agencies are interested in replenishing and refurbishing what has already been here, like the Granada and other places that were important to my generation. But I think I see plans and movement and hopes of people moving beyond just preservation of historic sites, but refurbishing the Hill to become the kind of place it was before, kind of self-contained, a positive, safe space to live. And I look forward to it because I get so tired of getting up in the morning and watching the news and watching the first two stories about a shooting here or whatever. That's not what the Hill is about. And we need to change that dialogue and change that message that goes out and bring that pride back.
The August Wilson House has come to be, it was a memory of Paul Ellis and his family. Paul wanted to do something in honor of his uncle, and therefore he founded the Daisy Wilson Artist Community Incorporated. As a result of that, Daisy Wilson Artist Community became incorporated in 2008. It received its nonprofit status initially in 2010. Paul had a conversation with his uncle, and his uncle he signed off on the idea of putting together an art center in honor of his legacy and to celebrate the Hill District and to support artists of color. One thing that he did not want, though, is for the space to be considered a museum. He wanted the space to be considered useful. So therefore, what we are doing here is threefold. We are restoring his childhood home, which you can see right behind me, where he and his 6 siblings grew up here until he was the age of 13. And the second thing is for robust programming and community engagement. The third thing we're doing is to have fellowships and artists in residences in support of artists of color. What we're doing inside is we are restoring that back to its historic significance at that time, to the period, down to furniture, down to wallpaper, down to appliances. And we will have people do scheduled tours to come through and be able to see where August the man, as a young child, drew inspiration. Well, the idea was always to do something that would celebrate literacy and August Wilson's legacy. Therefore, it really hasn't changed much in terms of what the mission and vision is. We've been very consistent with that. What has happened is some of the interpretive elements, some of the things that we wish to do inside the space to interpret what that vision is. For instance, at the very front of the space, there's a storefront that was called Bella's Market. Initially, we were envisioning that to be a space where people could come in off the street and fellowship together. As we began to look at the plans for that, we noticed that having people come in and out the space would not be practical to do. So we will have that as a gallery space. It will be a gathering space as well. Sometimes it could be when we have things here in the backyard, the plays and things that will be staged back here. People will be able to go into Bella's and maybe get out of the rain or something like that. So when we look at change in concept, it really wasn't a change in the vision and the mission. That's always been very clear. But what did change is just the way we can use the space inside and what's the most practical aspect. Construction is expected to be done in April of 2022. As you can see, there are heavy machinery here now. So we did pre-construction for a while. We were fortunate to have to be awarded a very prestigious grant called Saving America's Treasures, given out by the National Park Service. So we had to pause in our construction schedule because there was a historic preservation compliance that we had to engage. Even though we had gotten state approval, we had to go through the whole federal approval as well. And then COVID obviously hit last year and stopped a lot of construction from happening. Now we're back on track, and we did certain pre-construction on the inside, and now here we are. And you can see all the dirt around and the big machines, and we're just extremely excited. What future visitors can encounter are a few different things, because let's focus on the different types of visitors that we envision who will come. So artists of color, that is a big deal for us. One thing that August Wilson is known for is providing access to people of color that was not necessarily there. We might have a theater company maybe only stage one Black play per year or something like that. And so it's incredibly important to us to support artists. So in doing so, we can do that through reading roundtables, writing workshops, acting workshops. We will do that through oral history programs, and we will have the public come in.
No.
Oh,
I'm just trying to sort of wrap it up. Okay. Our battery's about to die.
Okay. We will have the public come in as well. We will be supporting students. And as far as tourists go, we will support tourists, but they will be scheduled. Because of the size of the building, we have to be very deliberate about how people move about inside the building. So those are the things that people, when they come, can do. They can see Daisy Wilson's kitchen restored and everything as well. To learn more about us, you can visit all social media platforms, as well as www.augustwilsonhouse.org. And we hope to see you soon.
Soil Sisters Plant Nursery is my own small business. I am currently working for Grow Pittsburgh, but my passion is to get this nursery off the ground and open to the public, specifically the residents of the Belsuver community, where I am native of, been there all of my life. There's been many agricultural things happening in that neighborhood, so I'm excited to be a part of that. The mission of Soil Sisters is to advocate for growing your own food. In our inner city communities, a lot of neighborhoods don't have access to freshly grown food. It's not enough to depend on your locally grocery store. It's more important for you to be able to do that on your own. So our mission is to educate, to expose, and to collaborate with other organizations who are pushing a mission to grow your own food. Soil Sisters started in 2015, not necessarily on paper, but certainly in mind. I am a mother of a 12-year-old. Years after doing my motherly duties, preparing food, I realized that things just weren't the same. The food in my house just didn't smell as I remembered growing up. And the only thing I can realize that was different is that I didn't have a garden. My grandmother had a garden all of my life. Everything that I remember coming from the backyard was a meal. I wanted to figure out how can I set myself apart, and it seemed like the nursery was the best way to go because we were all still buying our seedlings from like Home Depot, from Lowe's, Walmart, just not places that were really intentional about the food that we were growing or how it can even grow in our climate. Soil Sisters Plant Nursery is unique because it's a plant nursery that focuses on the education component. We're not just here to sell seedlings. The summer camp was a situation that our community let us know was a need or an interest that they want. We certainly didn't force something on them and expect them to receive it. We were aware that people wanted to know how to do what it is we wanted them to be a part of, and that's gardening. And the kids are a prime example of how to make it something you enjoy and not something that's just a job. So they were able to, through our summer camp, they were able to do activities with soil that didn't just include planting. They did screen printing. So we used a mix of coffee grounds, soil, and they were able to, screen print out different designs that they made themselves.
Well, I'm Saray Kelly. I am the co-owner of Soil Sisters Plant Nursery, and we started our business just out of the lack thereof in our community. We're from Pittsburgh, and we seen the loss of just the food apartheid. The community is just pretty much going down and not having locally sourced food, and we felt that we would be able to provide that to our community by giving them the vegetable herb beneficial flowers. We also give a summer camp to our youth. And we also do workshops that are all food-based and gardening-based. So our plant nursery was established in 2020, and we started our business because we're from the city of Pittsburgh, and when we grew up, we had nutritional food and great local businesses, and now it's no longer here. So we decided to not leave it up to other individuals, but also for us to be the ones to give back to our community, to provide locally sourced food by giving vegetable, herb, and beneficial flower seedlings. My most memorable moment would have to be last May. So like I said, we only started last year, and we didn't think anybody knew us, but we gave a garden supply giveaway. We had absolutely nothing, and lo and behold, we sold out. Our thing was from 12 to 3. We were sold out within an hour of having our sale. People came from Arnold, PA, and they sat there 2 hours prior to us actually opening to get garden supplies. I was so surprised by so many people that actually knew who Soil Sisters was our first year in a business, that it really gave us a boost in confidence that what we were doing was truly the right thing to do. Soil Sisters is unique because we are the first woman and Black-owned nursery in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And us being centered in the city is also something different. With also just selling seedlings, we do have our workshops as well, and we do give a camp, so it's not just your traditional nursery, but we're more focused on community-based program. We are very big on social media, so you can go to our Instagram, you can go to our Facebook. We also have a website, soilsistersplantnursery.com. You can find more information about us there.
Thank you for joining us for the first August Wilson Community Day event of 2021, celebrating the legacy of August Wilson. Today's activities were made possible by our presenting sponsors, UPMC and UPMC Health Plan. Please join me in thanking them for their continued commitment to the center and to the community. Thank you for supporting the center. The donations we receive allow us to produce educational and community-driven programs like this one. To learn more about how to support our work, please visit our website at aacc-awc.org/support. Thank you once more, and until we meet again, stay safe.
Ba 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 ba.